Hello everybody, it's Friday now, and this is day one of an at least 8-day stretch. The manager has to go work at another store in Cedar Lake starting tomorrow, and she normally does the schedule tomorrow, so I have a feeling she probably did the schedule today, and when I go to work today 5 to close, it should be there and I should know if this stretch lasts any longer than 8 days or not. It's fine if it does. And then Don's over here de-skinning and portioning chicken. That chicken we bought.
Might have to let a little bit more defrost, just a little bit more to where it's easier for me to break it down.
Yeah.
Because I don't let it totally defrost. Let it get defrosted just enough for me to work with.
Yeah, he puts 2 pieces in each bag and he takes the skin off.
Well, 2 thighs or 4 drumsticks.
Yeah. And that's a serving for each of us. Ew, gross.
It's because it's half frozen still.
Gross.
I don't let it totally dethaw.
Yeah.
So.
Well, before you guys throw up, I'll quit filming that. And unfortunately, Don woke up sick this morning, so he now has what I had. I'm finally feeling 99.9% back to normal, and he's sick now. I woke up early this morning to him just hacking away, so it took a while, but he caught it from me, so that sucks.
Probably took me longer to catch it because I had my shots this year.
Oh, what, flu shot?
Yeah, that's probably why it took me longer to get it.
Yeah. I haven't had a flu shot because, I don't know, I've heard too much about they make you sick, so I don't know.
Well, no, they're not supposed to make you sick, but I didn't get sick.
Yeah.
So, people that think, oh, it's going to make me sick, whoever thinks that, might not think that because it's not true.
Well, maybe the next time I go to the doctor, I'll tell him to do it.
Might as well, since you got insurance, so.
For now. Hi. Oh, you want all this chicken skin. You'll get sick if you eat all that chicken skin.
Well, he ain't getting it going in my thing until I get enough built up for me making broth.
Yeah. So yeah, no chicken skin for you. Not for you either, Smokey. Or Gizzard, wherever he went. But we just have the People's Court on, and I'm going to ride the exercise bike shortly. That guy's got purple hair. And then we have to, then I have to take a shower, and then I have to go to work. So that's how it's going for right now. Oh, and goodbye sun. We had ice, snow, and rain early this morning, and now it's just gloomy, cloudy, wet, and cold. So that's how it is. Don's playing with his car parts.
Yep, just inspecting to make sure that it was the right setup.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you do get parts in the wrong box.
Yeah.
So
we'll show them what you were just doing with this thing. That thing.
Upper control arm?
Yeah.
I was just holding it up to make sure that everything lines up, you know.
Huh.
To make sure it's all good, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a control arm that we bought when we put the car on the road and I didn't want to put on because it needed a new strut.
That looks like a big heavy part. No wonder it was so expensive.
Yeah. Well, what made it so expensive was because we needed the spring and this top piece.
Yeah.
And that's what made it so expensive. Because it was originally the spring is what was broken. And I didn't want to just replace the spring. And another thing is I was afraid on the old strut about taking this nut off the top because it was so badly rusted. I was afraid that this nut, this bolt here on the top was going to snap.
Well, you might as well just buy all new things and then everything is new and fresh and you don't have to worry about it.
So between this here and that part there, right around $220.
Jeez.
These 2 parts.
Yeah.
So.
And you do it all yourself rather than going to a garage and getting charged like $500 for labor.
Yeah, to do your struts on the front of your car and counting labor, you're probably looking at both struts and labor, probably $500 to $600.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So, but you gotta figure, I'm gonna say about $600 because of the labor, you know.
Well,
most garages charge $50 to $60 an hour for labor.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing you know how to do this stuff so we don't have to take our cars to garages anymore.
Right. But yeah, I was just checking to make sure it was the right part mainly, is what I was doing.
So I just got off the exercise bike, and yesterday I was talking about how my the Fitbit app didn't track my exercise. Well, about a half an hour later it showed up, and in the meantime I posted in the Fitbit community wondering if my Fitbit was going bad, and a bunch of people answered and said that they called the Fitbit company and that it was happening to them too, and that for a while there the app was not syncing. So it wasn't me or my Fitbit or my app, it was Fitbit themselves. But at least it was resolved quickly, and now there's no hole in my exercise circle thing. So that's pretty good. At least that was solved. There, I'm all set for work, and I leave in 40 minutes. I get to relax for a few minutes until it's time to go. And here's everybody else, except Smokey's in bed. I just saw him. Gizzard was in bed, but he got up. So Don will take over from here. Yes?
What have you been smoking?
You said you will.
You've been smoking a
tobacco. One of our subscribers wants you to film yourself canning potatoes when you do it, because she wants to know how to do it.
It's not that hard.
Alright, well, when you do start doing it, you can do a little tutorial.
Yeah, the pressure cooker I got small, but it does the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an actual canner, but it's alright, it still does the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, I'm in the middle of doing the dishes right now. I got a little better than half the dishes washed and letting some drain air dry, so I can get those put away to proceed on with getting the rest done. And I got 5 bags chicken put away, deskinned, cut up, portioned out into meal-sized portions for 2 people. And the 5 bags were a total of 50 pounds because they're 10-pound bags. I still got one 10-pound bag left to do yet. But I decided to stop working on the chicken so that way I can get the dishes done up, because I gotta let the chicken thaw out part way so that way I can get it broken up and deskinned and cut up, and then, you know, portioned out and put away, of course. But other than that, there's just not a whole lot going on, and I'm not sure if I'll be starting canning potatoes tomorrow or not. I'll know when the day gets here, so we'll go from there and find out on getting the potatoes done up. So right now I'm just gonna sit back and watch some TV for in the meantime. Alright, well everybody, I got the dishes knocked down to where I got 3 pans left and a plate and a fork. And dinner had just gotten done. I just got done preparing my plate and Tino's plate. We're having baked chicken, mashed potatoes, corn on Tino's plate, peas on my plate. And as many of you may know, that we eat a lot of chicken in this house, and so that's why I'm not really showing you the meal, because, well, it's just the same thing. But I'm gonna go ahead and sit down and eat my food, and that way I can get the dishes finished up. It is 18 minutes after 9 right now, so I want to have the dishes done before Tino gets home from work, because she gets off work the store closes at 10, so she'll be out like shortly after 10 off from work, and be home probably close to 10:30 area. Other than that, I think after dinner and I get the dishes finished up, that I'll probably finish doing the last bag of chicken. Then that'll be 60 pounds of chicken that I will have portioned out and deskinned and everything. And the skin and the bones and everything I save. I put them in buckets and freeze them, where when I get a big amount of it, then I use all that leftover stuff like that normally would get thrown away. I use it for making broth, so that way it doesn't go to waste. That way we use all of what we can. Okay, I got all the dishes washed up, and I just got out the last bag of chicken to let that get it thawed out for a tiny bit, not very long. I think I'll be able to break it up here probably soon. I can't exactly say how long because it's hard to say. And it is 9:53 right now, so here in a few minutes the store that Tino works at will be closing, so probably about a half hour or so Tino will be home. And other than that, I at least I got all the dishes done, so she'll be glad to see that, because I did tell her that I would do them today, so they're done. Finally got that out of the way anyway. Good afternoon, everybody. Tennille decided to turn this video into a 2-day video, because by the time she got home it was kind of late, and by the time she ate supper and everything, she had to go to bed to get up early this morning to be able to go to work. And I've canned some potatoes so far, and I'm gonna do a clip on me doing how to can potatoes. And right now I got some potatoes cut up. I had to peel them and everything because they're like a second class potato, you know, where they're not a grade A potato where they got to be peeled and remove some of the bruising and bad spots on them. But other than that, I will go through and explain some of this to you guys. And so right here's a bunch of potatoes I got peeled and chunked up. Now, like when you go and look up on how to can potatoes, one of the things that they'll tell you is to, oh, there goes one of my jars popping right now, taking a seal. But one of the things they tell you to do is to poach them, which is to boil them for 5 to 10 minutes, and then put them in your jars, put boiling water in on them, and then put them into your canner pressure cooker. Well, I'm not going to do that part because I don't see the need in it, because putting them in the pressure cooker and everything is going to cook them for you. Right now I'm getting ready to do quart size canning, and what I'm going to do is take these jars here, get them out of the sink, and I'm going to draw some hot water. Take some of the potatoes from the cold, put them over into the hot water so that way it warms them up some. And then I'll put them in jars, and then I'll take some hot water tap from here because our water gets really hot. And I'll top the jars off with the water once the potatoes are in. Another thing that you're going to want to do before you put your lids and rings on, because I only can do 3-quart jars at a time in my canner. Put your lids in a pan with some water, take them over, put them on some heat, and warm them up. So I'm going to put it on high. You necessarily don't have to have it at a boiling point for your lids. Just get your water nice and hot and let them sit in there for a minute. And use a pair of tongs or something with a long handle that has a magnet on it to get them out, because they're going to be hot to handle. That's to soften up your gasket, your seal, actually, not your gasket, but your seal. And I'll be right back with you guys in a minute. Okay, everybody, I'm back. Alright, I got the potatoes all warmed up, just in hot tap water, just to knock the chill out of them. And now I'm going to go ahead and start getting them in the jars. The potatoes put in the jars. Right, here's my jars, 3 of them. Like I said, I only can fit 3 in my pressure cooker, so I'm going to go ahead and get them in the jars. Work with me a little bit here. I'm trying to do this with one hand, so it's going to slow me down a little bit because I can't use both hands at the same time. So now when you're filling your jars up, you got to leave 1 inch of headspace. And I'm going to take the jar and shake it a little bit so that way they get that, you know, kind of fall into place to where there's not big gaps in there in between your potatoes. And I kind of push them down a little bit. You don't want to push them down too hard, just a little bit, because you're going to have to be able to, once you get your water in them, you're going to have to kind of poke and prod at it with something to make sure you get all your air bubbles out, you know, between the potatoes. And tossing another couple here on that one. Right, that one's all ready. Have your potatoes come up to about here, you know, so. Alright, there's one jar. Now I'll stir down another jar. Normally I'm doing what I like to call a cold pack. So Well, that's technically what it's called, is cold pack, but a lot of people would heat their jars up. Well, I'm not doing that. And a lot of people say, oh, you got to heat up your jars, kill all the germs and everything. Well, by the time you get them in the canner and get them heated up, and for as hot as it gets inside of the canner, it's going to kill all the germs anyways, and not, and any bad bacteria for you. So, inside of a canner, the temperature gets really high. So it's going to, kill anything that's not good for you. Oh, I heard my lids are boiling and they don't need to be that hot. So I'll just go ahead and turn it off, get off the heat, and just let them sit in the hot water until I'm ready for them. These other jars I've already did, 3 of them. And this one here gave me a little rough way to go. I lost some of my water, as in this one. That's because when I opened up my canner, this one here, the ring loosened up and wasn't holding the lid down like it should, and it caused a bunch of water to boil out. And if you watch there, you can see that they're still boiling because they're that hot. The one that lost some water, that's fine. When you can your own potatoes, they're not going to look like they're store-bought. If you want your potatoes to look like they're store-bought, go to the store and buy them, because when you can them yourself, that ain't going to happen. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind. Just because they don't look like they're store-bought potatoes doesn't mean that they taste bad or nothing like that. They're going to taste like normal canned potatoes. Normally, you don't have to peel your potatoes. Some say you might, some say you don't, but necessarily you don't have to. Other than that, it's pretty simple, straightforward. And once I get this jar full, and then I'll show you how to fill it with water and to poke around in there and get your air bubbles out. That's why you don't want to pack them down too tight, just so that way you can get your air bubbles out, so that way it cooks evenly, and that way you don't end up with pockets of oxygen in it, because when you put it in the pressure cooker and everything and it's doing its thing, it's pushing all the oxygen out of the jar. And just like when you put your lids on, you only put them on finger tight. I mean, you don't just reef them down, nothing like that. You go off reefing them down nice and tight, your jars are going to explode inside of your cooker, and you don't want that. Even when you got them loose like you're supposed to, there's still that chance of where you could end up with a broken jar. And so now I got the jars all full. Still got some leftover potatoes here in the warm water, so I'm just going to push them back over into the cold water. That way they stay nice and cold for when I'm ready for the next batch. So I'll get all these out of here. And kind of pull the plug a little bit where the water can start draining out. Make it a little easier for getting the last bit of potatoes out of here. I did make sure I washed my sinks out and stuff before I started doing this. Okay, there, that part's done. Now I'm going to turn on my hot water tap. Like I said, my water gets really hot here. I mean, so hot that it'll burn you, because the water here is just ridiculously hot. Right. Starting to get hot. It takes a minute for my hot water to get out here because of how far away the water heater is. Oh yeah, there we go. You can hear my sink whistling a little bit. Now, start putting water in, let it fill up. Let's see how there's an air bubble there. Some more air bubbles there. Let me dry off my other hand here, because I don't want to hold on to the camera with a wet hand. I'll shut my water off for a moment, that way I'm not wasting hot water. And then normally you should be using something plastic to do this with, but and then just poke around in there, kind of move your potatoes around, make sure any air bubbles can come out. Okay, that's good for that jar. And then let me pull out a potato here, kind of a bit much. Because you're going to want your potatoes just below this little ring right here, this little ring right here on the jar. You want your potatoes just below that. Then I gotta dump out just a touch of water, not much. And then have your water come up to about this ring right here. Well, yeah, water about here, and that'll be good. And that'll be about an inch of space. Here on my middle finger up to my first knuckle where that crease is 1 inch. And so there we go, there's one jar. Now I'm going to bring you guys over here. I'm going to set this back right here because that burner is hot right there. I got a pair of tongs here somewhere. Oh yeah, I got to show you something else. Now what you want to do this with every jar. Wipe off your ring on the top, the top of the jar off. Make sure it's nice and clean, because if something's on that ring and you put your lid on, it's a possibility it might not take seal, and then you just wasted a bunch of your time doing it. And then you're going to have to put it in your fridge to either get it used up, or you're going to have to put it back in the pressure cooker and repeat the whole process all over again. Normally what I do to tighten up my lids is I'll take my thumb, my pointing finger, and my middle finger, and I'll grab hold of the lid right like this, and then I'll snug it, not squeezing too hard on with my fingers, and then just spin. And then once your fingers start spinning around the jar, and then you got it snug enough. Now I'm going to put it in the pressure cooker and set it there, because I know the water looks a little dirty, but that's just the way it is and how it's going to be. And now I'm going to repeat that process with these two jars here, and I'll let you guys go for a moment, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I got the 3 jars into the canner. Well, it's actually just a regular pressure cooker, but I call it a canner. I had to add more water into it because a lot of it evaporated out. And for this size of a canner, I can only fill it, at the max, 2/3 of the way. No fuller, because they can be dangerous. But now is what we're going to do is we're going to turn the burner on and bring the water to a boil that they're in right now. We're not going to put the lid on, nothing like that. We've got to get it boiling. Once the water gets boiling and boiling good, then you can put your lid on, but without your weight, And once you put your lid on, and then you let it start to steam, where you got a steady stream of steam coming out here, and then you set your timer for 10 minutes, let it steam for 10 minutes, and then you would put your weight on, because that's what my weight looks like. Doesn't mean that yours will. And then you let your weight start doing, well, I call it dancing. Once it starts doing its thing, then you set your timer for 40 minutes for quart size. And then for, if you're only doing pints, and then you set your timer when your weight starts dancing for 35 minutes. So there's only a 5-minute difference between quart size and pint size. Since I'm doing quart size right now. After this batch here, I got one more batch of quart I'm going to be doing, and then I'm going to switch over to pint size, so that way we got a variety of sizes of quarts and pints, because it's only two of us that live here in the house. I've heard this jar pop already. This one here popped already, and that one there's already popped too. So they've already took seal, and as you see, they're still boiling. Let me find one here where you can see it. Right there, you can see that one's still boiling. Let me watch right there. You can see it's still boiling. Since this one here lost some water, you can see it's still boiling. But just because it lost some water, it's okay. It's not like it's downright horrible. I'll just make sure that when we use them, I'll just make sure that this one here is one of the ones that gets used first, just because it lost some water. But other than that, that's all I can tell you for now. And then when the water starts boiling, and then I'll show you, you know, me putting the lid on and things of that nature. I'm back, everybody. As you see, my water is starting to boil. I'm just going to go ahead and get the lid on now. It's going to be kind of complicated for me to do it one-handed, but push down. I'll start. Yeah, I'm going to need both hands to be able to do this, but get the lid on and lock into place, and then you're going to let it vent from there. What's flickering here? That was weird, but anyways, you get the, now it's doing it again. But alright, well anyways, get the lid on, and then once you see your lock go up, which my lock is right here, once that goes up and got a steady stream of steam coming up out of the top of this, then you let it go for 10 minutes, which I'll set my timer. And then once you got a steady stream up going and 10 minutes gone by, then you can put your weight on. And the pressure that you're going to want to run, if you got a gauge, which I don't, is going to be like 11 pounds. And that's it. And then once your little weight starts doing its dancing, set your time for 40 minutes for quart size, pint size 35 minutes. And that's the process of canning. And when your 40 minutes are done, you turn the heat off, remove your pressure canner off of the heat, let it cool off on its own. Do not take a weight off the top, do not attempt to open it, you leave it alone. Once you see your lot goes down, then it is safe to remove your jars from your pressure canner. There, I got the lid on. I just couldn't do it one-handed. I need both hands to be able to do it, because my pressure cooker is kind of small, and then I have a hard time getting the lid on with such big jars. And when you're canning, you can't have your jars sitting on the bottom of the pan. You got to put something in to hold them up off the bottom. Okay, well as you see, got a steady stream. I know I got the lock didn't pop up yet. So I'm going to go ahead and start my timer. So as you see, there's a good strong steady stream coming up. So time to start kitchen timer on the microwave. 10 minutes. Oh, just sealed. Alright, 10 minutes. Hit the kitchen timer button again. Now you let it sit there and vent like that for 10 minutes. And it is a important step that you do it. Right there's my weight, sitting there waiting to go on, but it can't go on yet. So I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
Well, I'm out of work, and Don is still canning potatoes, and he's going to make dinner because my feet and ankles are really sore already, and I worked 10 days in a row. The 8 days on this schedule, and then 2 more days on the next schedule before I get a day off. But I'm not going to go into it in detail yet until we find out exactly all the consequences. But today was a horrible day at work. So I'm not going to talk about that here yet, but it was a bunch of crap. But Don's just going to cut up the meat and brown it, and cut up red onion and brown it and put it in quinoa. There's some of his potatoes, big jars of potatoes. I didn't know you had such big jars.
Quarts?
I only thought you had little jars.
No. These ones are from Steven, and then I got some that I've had from before, so.
Oh. And this is the kind of quinoa that we're going to eat. And 1 serving each of the cauliflower tater tots. And I weighed myself a couple mornings ago, and I have lost 34 pounds so far. 1 more pound before I get another badge from Fitbit, the Fitbit app, so that'll be pretty cool. And otherwise not much else is going on. I worked until 4 today, and then I work 4 to close tomorrow, so that'll be good. So considering this vlog is already over half an hour long, I think we should go ahead and end it. So we're just going to eat dinner, and I'll ride the exercise bike later, and Don will continue to can potatoes, and I work tomorrow at 4, and that's about it. I think all the animals are in bed. So we're going to say goodnight, and we hope you enjoyed the video, and that you like, subscribe, comment, share, and you're having a good night. Say goodnight.
Good morning.
And we'll see you next time.